Welcome to the Live Out Loud Show. I'm your host, Brooke Thomas, and I'm so excited because I'm actually doing this podcast in my home today with one of my best girlfriends, Heather Torres, and we're talking all things motherhood. So lean in. This is going to be a good one.
Oh, I'm so excited, Brooke, to be able to talk to you about this. Mother's Day is right around the corner. So I thought, okay, if I'm coming in and we're going to hang out and do podcasts together, we have to talk about motherhood. We're both mothers of daughters. I have sons also, but I think there's something special about having a daughter. And as we approach Mother's Day, I thought, what a great conversation to have because, you know, from being in your home, seeing how for years now, seeing how you and Brett parent, it's just such an eye opener to me of how to actually live that out and raise incredible girls. Your girls are incredible. They're how old now?
Thank you. 17 and 20. I can't believe it.
17
Many
and
adults.
20? That's insane.
Baby adults, I call
them.
them.
They are, but they're such good girls. I mean, such good women. You know, they're turning into women, Brooke.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you a little bit. You and I had a discussion in the kitchen ahead of time because I was like, Brooke, my daughter's 16 now. We're stepping into all the things 16. So please, as my big sister, help me with this a little bit. And what are some things that you and Brett do that have created such incredible young women? I think there's a couple things that you talked about. And I think the first one was the power of prayer over your kids. So we're going to give you, listener, a couple things to take notes on. But that, I think, was one of the biggest things a couple of years ago that you were like, that for me was an aha. Like, of course, the power of prayer over my kids. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm so glad that somebody told me this when the girls were really little. But I just want to tell you, no matter what stage that your kids are at, like no matter what age they're at, you can start this at any time. So even if you have adult children and you're listening to this, start it now if you haven't been doing this. But I'm so glad that somebody came into our life when they were babies. And they said, listen, start praying over your kids when they're sleeping. Start praying over them when they're at school. Start praying over their future husbands. And I remember thinking, praying over their future husbands, this is really weird when they're like 2 and 5.
Yeah.
But we have been praying over their purity, over their future husbands, over the way that they would be as teenagers since they were babies. And it did feel a little awkward, but I just believed in it. I would pray things like, God, these are your daughters. And this is what we desire, but we don't always know what to do. So we're asking you for help. We're asking you for support. You're our father and you're their father too. I know it sounds, again, if you're new to this, it sounds a little awkward and it does feel a little awkward at first. I'm not going to lie. But listen, they're 17 and 20. And I can honestly tell you every stage we have enjoyed because it has been a challenge sometimes, but we have given everything to God at every stage. And we always said when they were little, I'm like, I don't want to be the parent that says things like terrible twos or the horrible teenage years. We decided early on to say the terrific twos, the amazing teenage years. And that really helped a lot because again, listen, different seasons, different stages call for different levels of prayer and different levels of challenges and revelation and knowledge, but we don't have a manual. We don't know what to do a lot of times. And prayer is the thing that has really gotten us through so much. And we have such a great relationship with our girls. And we're so grateful for the way that they have turned out. But again, every season calls for something different. And another thing I want to say is I really believe that I did have stage 3 cancer when I was pregnant, 26 years old with my oldest daughter, Reagan. And I do believe that that was one of the ways that I just appreciated having a daughter. It makes me emotional because the doctor said that, she was maybe not going to make it. And so when I had her, I just feel like there was a level of appreciation that I had that maybe I wouldn't have had if that didn't happen. And so I always said she was like an angel. And she is like an angel because they wanted me to have chemotherapy and abort the baby. And so I didn't do that. So I just remember every year looking at her. And every year on her birthday, I was reminded of that. And so I didn't want to be like everybody else and complain about something that I was so gifted with. And so of course I had to pass that down to our next daughter too. And again, it's not perfect. I'm not perfect. And of course we've had challenges along the way, but I just had a different sense of appreciation because of that moment. And I can say it's really carried into adult, baby adult life of Reagan going off to college and everything. It's just, all you can do is pray when they get their license, when they go off to college.
We're at license stage right now, Brooke. And I'm like, this is crazy. I have to let her fly the nest a little bit. And we're already getting emotional. We're talking about motherhood. I'm like, this is so good.
I know.
But it's so good. There's something you just said. It spoke to my spirit where it was like the things that we actually say over them.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about this just in the women that you are mentoring and the women that are in your life. Like the words you speak are so powerful. Yeah. And what we even say in the different stages that they're in. I remember this was told to me really early on. They said, for every correction or discipline that you do, have 5 positive things you're saying to them so that they remember that you said the positive things more than the negative, right? Because a lot of times, especially if you've got young kids, it's like, no, don't touch that. No, don't do that. And it can really start to become all negative, right? And you're starting to think, because society says, oh, the 2s are terrible. Wait till you get to the 3s.
Yes,
oh, 16, they're gonna go crazy.
Yes, I know.
That's not real.
No.
Because that's actually not even what God says they are.
Exactly.
If we're actually saying to them, this is who God says you are, and this is the stage that you get to walk in. There's so much power in that.
Oh, and I remember learning, I did all the books, all the prayers, all the things that were, again, I wanted to stay in the positive. I'm like, I don't want to have to complain about my kids. I couldn't stand being around moms that just complain the whole time about their kids. I was like, how can we turn this around? How can we be better? And I learned a lot of little things. So if you have little kids, this is for you. I learned that when they misbehave or they lie, instead of saying like, you lied or you're bad or, you're acting this way. I learned at a young age to say, Reagan, this is not who you are. You're actually not a liar. Reagan, you're actually not like this, but you're acting like this right now. This is what you just did, but that's not who you are. And so I did learn early on to maybe, just speak life and always tell her who she is instead of who she's not. And she really did step into that. I mean, we joke a lot about how I accidentally did reverse psychology like their whole life so far, and it's really worked well for me. So
it's so good. And you say that because it's one of the things I've noticed that you do really well. Brett does this as well, but it's like, if they want to go after something, now that they're getting older, right? This isn't necessarily if you've got young ones because you need to have protection around them.
Right.
But, we're at 16, growing up, 17, 20. If they wanted to go after something, you weren't harping on them. You were encouraging them and saying, if that's what you want, take responsibility.
Yes.
And you guys have really parented that way.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the fruit of that now. Talk a little bit about that, because I think that young mom needs that encouragement right now for the one stepping into that season.
Well, instead of saying, no, you can't do this, or no, a lot of the way we've parented is, we would say, well, tell me more about that. Can you research that? Come back to us with all the facts. And it's so funny because my older daughter, Reagan, from the time she was young, she literally would create PowerPoint presentations or some sort of presentation for anything she wanted. I'm talking, I know this is funny, but when she wanted to shave her legs earlier than I wanted her to shave her legs, I was like, no, Reagan, you're not shaving your legs. It's too soon. She comes back to us with this whole presentation of showing hairy legs. Like she would literally cut out from magazines, hairy legs of men with like cheerleading skirts. Cause she's like, Mom, I'm a cheerleader. My legs look like this. I mean, it was so funny because she would actually spend time and really work on pitching us why she wanted to do something. And afterwards we're like, well, I mean, she really has a good point. We're like, okay. Yeah. So she would get rewarded for actually like taking the time to research and pitch us. And we're like, okay. And most of the time we actually did say yes, because she took the time. It actually did make sense. We listened to her. And sometimes her theory and her thought process was actually better than us saying no. Now, we didn't always say yes. Sometimes we said no. And we said, thank you so much for taking the time. And I think we just really taught them at a young age. And I don't know how we learned to do this because no one really shared this with us. We just kind of did that. And we just had her take responsibility. She still does it to this day and age. I mean, she just wanted, I'm just going to be honest. She's at 20 in college. She wanted to go on spring break to Spain. And she's like having this whole conversation with us to go to Spain. And we said, no, you're not going to Spain on spring break. This same thing happened with senior year in Mexico. And hopefully she's not listening to this because she's going to be so frustrated that I'm sharing this. But I'm being honest, like Mexico senior year and Spain sophomore year of college, not going to happen in our house. But instead of being being like, no way. I said, okay, tell me all the details. Give me all the details. Let's assess the situation and then we'll see what happens. And every single time she would come back with the details, she would just start laughing halfway through and go, okay, I know this sounds ridiculous. I know it's a no, it's fine. And I said, as long as you know it's ridiculous and you think it's fine, that we're saying no. And she's like, fine, I'll just do something else. And I'm a very proud parent right now telling you that she's a sophomore in college. A lot of her friends did go to Spain, and she's literally at my mom's house in Jupiter Island right now with 3 of her friends, spending time with her Nana on college spring break.
Love it.
I don't know how I'm winning, but I'm winning right there.
It's so good. I think one of the things why I think you're winning, Brooke, and this is just a testament to how you've parented, is I noticed the way that you even speak to the girls. It's very honoring. It's very respectful. It's like you've raised them to be adults. And I learned that very early on too. It's like, yes, they may be children, but they deserve honor and respect. Like Jesus brought the children to him. You know, like when you think about like how important children are and the way that we speak to them and the way that we call them higher, I think that's something you guys have done really well.
Yeah. I mean, I love my girls so much. And I always wanted to be their friend. But listen, as a mom and as a parent, we can't always be their friend. We do have boundaries. We do have guardrails. We do have rules, but we talked early on, Brett and I, and we were like, we want to make sure that we do treat them with honor and respect, and they want to be around us. They don't work for us. We want them, if they want to work for us, then they can. But just because they're our kids, we don't control them and they work for us. But as a family unit, we would sit around and talk about different quote unquote chores. I never liked that word growing up too. So I'm like, why do we have to call it chores?
We don't do it. We call them family contributions.
Yes. Yeah. We do something we never named it that, but we should have. But we just said, okay, this is what it takes for the house to function. This is what it takes for the family to function. We all want to have a good time. We all want to go out to dinners. We all want to do fun things together as a family, but we all need to participate. So we would make a list of things that need to happen in the house to run, and we would have all of us take things that we would want to do. One of the girls would make coffee even like the night before to have it ready the next morning. One of the girls would take out the trash. One of the girls would take care of the dog. We would come up with different things. So we were all like contributing, like you said. And so it didn't feel like any one person or us as parents were controlling our kids. Like, because you're our kid, you have to do this. Because I just think that long term that could cause your kids to not want to be around you, and we want to be around them. And again, every stage is different. As they graduate into a new stage, they're allowed to do new things. And we told the girls at a young age, we are going to parent you differently because you're different kids. And we have no problem doing that. I mean, they were very, very different. So we parented them very differently. And when they would say anything, we're like, sorry, you're 2 different kids. And, you know, but we did really always honor them. We love them. We want to hear from them. I mean, even to Reagan, my older daughters, we were kind of at that stage a couple years ago where I really didn't, I know this again sounds crazy, I did not want her to go to college. I was just in this stage because we were coming off of COVID and just a lot of stuff going on in the world. And I was like, you know what, do you even really need to go to college? Like, we're entrepreneurs, like just work for us. And you know, just, you could do anything. And she was really frustrated with me because she's like, you and dad got to go to college. Nobody says that. You've put me in college prep private schools since the time I was little. Why are you saying this? And I don't know what it was. Something just came over me where I was like, does she really need to go? I don't think you do. But I was putting what I wanted on her. I think it was like, I didn't really want her to leave. I didn't really think that you needed college, because I think we can have those conversations now in this world where we don't really need it for certain jobs, right? But she didn't like that. She's like, Mom, you've put me in college prep schools and private schools since I was little. I got to watch you and dad go through this process. I got to watch you build your dreams. And you always said, if we support you, you'll support us. And she totally gave it back to me in a nice, respectful way. And I was like, you know what, Reagan, you're right. And then when she told me she wanted to go across the country, I was like, oh, are you sure? Across the country? You want to go to Alabama? We're in California. And she's like, but Mom, you always said whatever we want to do, you would support us. And this is what I really know I want. I promise, you know. And so it's just been this process of like, you know what? She's saying back to me every single thing I have said to her. And I wanted to honor that. And I wanted to respect that. It was hard. Like, I'll start crying if I think about it right now. My friends know, you know, I mean, I cried for the first 6 months, like nonstop, and even the first year, but we're at in the middle of year 2. I mean, we've never been closer to her. We talk all the time. It makes me so happy to see her happy. And I really think it's because she chose to do what she felt confident and strong in. And every time we go for Parents Weekend, every time we see her, she's like, Mom, because I cry when she leaves. And she's always like, Mom, don't worry about me. I'm good. Mom, you did this, so I'm good. She's like, Mom, there's all these kids that are my age that don't know how to do this, this, and this, but you taught me. I'm good. And I'm like, okay. And going back to what you were saying about like treating them like adults when they were little. You know, sometimes people have different theories around that, but we have always been the family that, you know, we took our kids out to anything that Brett and I did, we took them with us. We liked to be around them. Yes, we had date nights too, but we liked to be around our kids. So we would take them to hotels. We would take them out to dinners. And we taught them at like 5 years old, you know, look at the server in their eyes, order the food yourself. Even if they were like, I don't want to order. I'm like, okay, well then you're not going to have anything. You need to tell them what you want. We taught them how to do room service. You know, at the hotels, you know, you pick up the phone, ask them, use your manners, say please. We taught our kids at a young age, if you see anybody in a uniform, like a police officer, a firefighter, anybody in a uniform, even a server, tell them thank you. Thank you for your service. Because I wanted to teach my kids, those people are all serving us and you should always thank them. And if you can get that in your kids at a young age, my kids still at like many baby adults, they just have an automatic, like, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
I mean, there's these little things that we can teach our kids that make you feel so grateful. Because again, there's going to be things, of course, nobody's perfect. We're all going to mess up. But when you teach those little nuggets and you pray on top of that, I will tell you, I'm on the other side of it now. And it's glorious. It's amazing. They're our best friends, you know?
Yeah, it's so great. We do that too. I think one thing our kids have noticed is anytime we see a veteran, we're a huge military family. And so anytime we see someone in a military uniform, we look them in the eye and we say thank you. And it's so good because now my kids just automatically do it. Like it's just a part of who our family is. And I think it's teaching them honor and respect because they've received honor and respect, right? So it's so good.
I love like seeing the way you and Isaiah parent too, I have to say. I mean, I think that when we first got together, like 5 years ago, all of us, like you guys came with your family and we hung out. It's really nice when you hang out with other families. That's the other thing I'll say. I mean, we get to choose who we get to hang out with.
Yes.
And I'm just going to be really honest and really straightforward. When our kids were young, we had choices. And there were a lot of choices that we made to not hang out with a lot of people because they didn't have the same way of parenting. And we did not want to sacrifice being around other people when our kids were younger and those kids were allowed to do certain things that our kids were not allowed to do. Or I didn't want to have to make excuses or apologize for the way that we parented. So it's really nice to find other, and I encourage anybody, they're out there.
Yes.
Find other parents, even if they're not in your neighborhood, even if you have to drive somewhere. It is way better when your kids are young to be around other families that you kind of parent similar because then you're not constantly, I mean, listen, I learned at a young age, there's a song that says, be careful little eyes what you see, be careful little eyes what you see. And it goes on to say, because it will taint basically everything. And so I knew that when my kids were little, like, it's not that you can protect them from everything, but you can protect them from a lot of things.
Yeah.
But if they see something, they can never unsee it. If they're around, you know, certain things, that could change their life forever. And so we were really, really protective and strict when they were little, when it came to who we hung out with and who they hung out with. And I just think that is a choice. And I really believe that that is why we're able to be a little bit more lenient now. Like we've become more lenient definitely in their later teenage years. And when, you know, my daughter's turning 20, 21, 22, because you go from like parent and protective to more like mentor and coach and friend. And I would rather that than be the opposite. Like when they're younger, you kind of are more lenient. So
yeah.
So I don't want to, I want to say like we were strict, early on, not just always letting them do what they want.
Absolutely. We parent the same way.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing. I love that you pointed that out, because it's so important that your kids see the way other families operate is like them too. We're definitely the weirdos because one, we homeschool all of our kids. We work from home as entrepreneurs. We're around other entrepreneurs. Actually, it was funny. My son had said, he was like, Mom, did people go to work? Because I thought, oh my gosh, everyone he's around is an entrepreneur because we all have the same mindset.
Right.
And I think that is so important because it's like, what is the atmosphere that you're setting with your kids young? Are they around complainers and addicts and, people like they're, I'm talking about
type of food, even the type of food.
Yes.
I don't want to make excuses if I don't want to have junk in the house and they other kids are wanting junk or just certain things. We have a choice when they're young to make those choices.
Yeah. And we just always tell our kids, every family is different and every parent is going to be different. And so that they just understand that it's not good or bad. I'm not going to put that label on people, but it's not how we're choosing to live for the Lord, right? Like that's a big thing for our family. The last thing I really want to touch on, Brooke, that you inspired me with, especially as we're stepping into these teen years, which are so glorious and so much fun, was the idea that like, when you don't know what to do, what do you do? Because there's a lot of parents, especially I'm noticing that my olders, they are starting to have that separation in that they are becoming adults. And I want them to have that. But like, there's situations that pop up where I think, what do we even do? And you and Brett have really helped us through that. So I want the listener to also have that too. What do you guys do when it's like, what do you,
listen, there has been times where, and as a parent, I'll tell you, I think the biggest thing that will break your heart, and it makes me want to cry right now just talking about it. Like when your child or your teenager or your baby adult gets their heart broken by somebody else's words. My girls, I'll just tell you, they haven't gotten their heart broken by boys yet. Yeah. They're kind of like strong girls where they're like, Mom, we're not going to be that girl. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know what we did there, but so far we're not, we have not experienced that. I think they've been around a lot of girls that have given up a lot of themselves to boys. And we've talked about that too. I'm just going to be honest. Like we've talked about, be really careful about what you give up physically, mentally, emotionally to another person and another boy or even another person, because you'll miss out on the amazing, exciting time to be a kid. And I said, watch and pay attention to your friends that do that, because it really does have an effect on your life. There's no judgment. There's no like labels, but my girls really have paid attention to what that means to their friends that have done certain things that have caused them to like either be boy crazy or not enjoy their friends.
Yes.
And so I'm not talking about boys, but I'm talking about in general, girls can actually be really difficult, or just people in general, right? And they can say things to hurt your feelings. They can leave you out. They can, speak things over you that cause you to feel like you're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not this enough. And both of my girls have struggled with that at different seasons. And it breaks your heart as a parent because we live in a world where it's not like back in the 20s or 30s, maybe, where like you could actually go down to the other parent or call them up and go, what is your kid doing? Let's get together. They don't do that. Like you don't get together with other parents to tell on another kid. You have to like really work it out and sort it out. And so I think the hardest thing is when your kid's getting made fun of, or they've been told that they're not pretty or they're not good enough somewhere. They definitely don't want you like calling the other kid out or a parent. So you have to kind of just work through it. And it's really hard to see your kids struggle in that area as a parent, because you just want to be like, you're so amazing. How do you? And so that's been the hardest thing for me when I don't know what to do, because as a parent, when you tell them how amazing they are and somebody else has told them they're not, they don't always believe you. And that's really hard. And so the biggest thing that I've learned to do is literally get on my knees with Brett. Or if there's a situation that we don't know what to do, we don't, like I said, we don't have a handbook. We've not gone through this before. And the only thing we know to do is be like, God, they're your children and you're our Father, and we don't know what to do right now. So we need your help. We've never, and we used to even tell Reagan, we've never been a parent of an 18-year-old. We've never been a parent of a 16-year-old before. We don't know what to do always, but we're doing our best. And we would get on our knees and pray. There's been times, I think I've told you this, like where if they're in the house, we'll go out to the car and Brett and I will get in the car, we'll drive up the street and we will just pray until something breaks. And that's all I know to do. And I'm telling you, God is so good for your kids. When you ask him, I just wonder how many people are listening have actually done that. I mean, it's easy to go, yeah, I'm going to pray for them. We're going to talk through it. I think it's actually easier if I were to call you, Heather, and be like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Let me tell you what Reagan's doing. Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you what Riley's doing. What would you do, Heather? That's way easier than actually getting in the car, driving up the street and just praying for 30 minutes until something breaks.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it works. God moves fast. There's been many times where Brett and I did not know what to do and we prayed and within 30 minutes, something broke. Every time we're like, wow, God moves fast when it comes to your kids. So that's the biggest thing that we know to do now.
It's so good. It's things like, Lord, convict their heart.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Or Lord, one of the things that I had to really get to too was like, I want to forgive them fast.
Yes.
Because sometimes like they'll do stuff that'll be annoying. And maybe I have maybe not parented properly. Yeah, I guess you could say, or just got annoyed or frustrated or whatever. And it's like, whatever they did, I should forgive them. But a lot of time it really is like, Lord, these are your children. Help us just steward all, every bit of who they are. And it's just so powerful.
That whole conviction of spirit, like I remember being on a vacation, I don't know why it is like when you go on vacation with your kids
every time
and everything's planned out and you're like, this is going to be the best ever. And then like they start fighting in the car or one's being like rude or one's not being appreciative. That stuff still happens. Okay. Like I don't want to paint a picture that everything's like perfect by any means. It's not, because things like that happen. But I learned a few years ago, this was probably like 5 years ago. We went on this ski trip. I'm not going to name which child was misbehaving because it wasn't her. It was just it was out of her character, but she had the teenage, just attitude. I don't know. I couldn't explain it. And I was getting so irritated. And we got to the hotel and I looked at Brett and I said, I am so irritated right now. And he was like, Brooke, I know I am too. He goes, but let's just pray. And I'm like, I just want to complain, and she's complaining. And I'm like, and so we literally went into the bedroom, like at the hotel, and we got on our knees in the closet and we just started praying, God, the same thing. God, she's your daughter. Convict her spirit. Have her apologize to us. What is going on? I don't want to have a bad vacation. I don't want this to be a division between us. It was like, I don't know what's going on. I know it sounds crazy. This is not the normal advice that people give, but literally within 30 minutes, I'm not even joking you, she came to us and she's like, Mom, Dad, I'm sorry. I don't know what got into me. I think I'm just hungry. I think I'm just being cranky for no reason. I'm really sorry. Thank you so much for this trip. And we literally looked at each other and we were like, oh my gosh, like we didn't tell her. Now if she's listening, she's going to hear it. But this happens a lot. I mean, even with this spring break trip, I don't think I rounded it out. Like basically she presented the spring break trip to us. And like halfway through, I think I told you, she was just like, okay, I know this sounds ridiculous. And then she goes, were you and Dad praying about this? Because it does feel like the spring break trip is just falling apart. Did you and Dad pray? And to be honest, yes, we did pray earlier that morning that it would all fall apart because we didn't want you to go. I know that's not the best advice. And but it works. It works for us. It's worked for us. And we don't know what else to do sometimes.
It's so good. It's so good. Well, this has been such a joy to be able to talk about this. I hope that the listeners that you of the Live Out Loud podcast are liking these types of episodes that we get to do. It's so fun, Brooke. Thank you for inviting me into your home. Yes. Thank you for inviting me into your life and getting to be a little sister that watches you a little step ahead so that I can see what you're doing.
My girls love you and your family.
It's so much fun. Really nice. Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
Because it's coming out around Mother's Day.
Yes.
And thank you so much for the podcast.
Yeah. And I just want to encourage any mom that's listening to just take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay. And everything is for a season. That's the thing. I mean, I'm on the other side. I've got 17 and 20, and I know we've got a long way to go. But I do wish that when I was a younger mom with younger kids, that somebody just said, it's just a season. Just take a breath, enjoy every moment, which I will say I did. And I always, if you go back and look at anything I've ever posted in the last 20 years, I would always say, in every birthday post I do for my girls, I always say, I'm enjoying every moment. Like I am enjoying every season. And I think when we speak that out, even if you're going through a hard season, it becomes better. So
good.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you so much for spending time with me today on the Live Out Loud show. If you enjoyed this episode, I would be forever grateful if you would just take 30 seconds and leave a 5-star review. Also, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new episode drop. Share this podcast with someone else who might need the encouragement today, and tag me on Instagram at liveoutloudbrooke to let me know you're listening. I look forward to meeting you here every single week. So until next week, live healthy, love life, and live out loud.